The trouble with being like a half-ass booktuber, like not even half-ass, I'm like quarter-ass booktuber, is that you start filming vlogs with no real direction or storyline. There's no planning happening. And then you lose track of how long you've actually been filming the same vlog and what you've talked about and anything you need to go back to, a cool shots you set up and then never actually finish, like the before without the after. So what we have here is my attempt to pile together some semblance of a storyline or something going on as I read the book In a Quiet Town, which I was reading for a book club, in real life book club, and concluding with a quick little trip up to Fort Bragg, up the California coast. And we'll see if enough of that makes sense for you to even follow along and get to the end scene in Fort Bragg. I'm going to read first thing. So I'm going to start with Lab Girl. I don't know, I haven't looked at like the chapter or anything. I'll read this for a while, but I also really want to start In a Quiet Town by Amber Garza as well. This is my book club book. So this takes place, like In a Quiet Town refers to Folsom, California, which is where the author is from, which is right near where I live. Folsom Prison, Johnny Cash, Intel is there, Cisco is there. And it's so it's a book club book. We're meeting, I think, in a week. And the author is actually coming to our meeting. So that'll be, interesting. But I'm really interested to see like how much of Folsom do I see and like Folsom people do I see in this book. So that's probably like the thing I'm most interested in, but it's a mystery. So it says, basically, I'm just going to read the really short little blurb. It says, in this chilling new novel, a woman discovers that her estranged daughter is missing, but no one believes her until she meets a man claiming to be her daughter's fiance. So that should be fun. And other stuff to do. I'll update you more later. I'm going to get to reading. And yeah, I need to put my phone like away from me. Okay, I'm going to read. Like 8:40-ish or so, reading Lab Girl, and it's a library book, so I can't underline, but I can imagine if I had my own copy, I would be marking the crap out of this book because like I'm on the last page of chapter 2 here, and there's already been somewhere a couple other places that I would have underlined, but this line here, so she's talking about this tree, a spruce tree that she grew up with, and as an adult living like 4,000 miles away, she finds out from her parents that due to circumstances related to the tree, they had to chop down the tree. And so she's kind of reflecting on that. She says, science has taught me that everything is more complicated than we first assume, and that being able to derive happiness from discovery is a recipe for a beautiful life. Wow. Being able to derive happiness from discovery is a recipe for a beautiful life. I love that. I suppose I should tell you what In a Quiet Town is about. In a Quiet Town, so when we first were presented this for a book club, reading a book by a local author, Amber Garza, we were accidentally, mistakenly pitched that this book takes place in Folsom, which is local to us. As of right now, I used to live about like a mile from the Folsom border, spent a lot of time in Folsom, did a lot of things in Folsom with Folsom people. Now I'm like 5-6 miles away, but it's part of the area. And so that was part of like the pitch of reading this book, was that it was set here. And that is not the case, as a different book of hers is set in Folsom. This one is set in a made-up town, kind of a conglomeration of towns set in the Russian River Valley, which is basically like just north of, like, if you think of Bodega Bay, where The Birds was filmed, the Hitchcock movie, that general area. So it's like rural, coastal area. So that's where it's set. the format of the book is very much a part of how the story is told. And as I'm actually filming this part after I've read the book, turns out to be quite consequential to the actual story itself. But we have, the book is told in, it goes back and forth between past and present, and it denotes that past or present. And then we're either hearing from the mother, the daughter, or the fiance. So we have the mother, Tatum, is a pastor's wife. They're pretty fundamentalist. Her husband is very much the head of the household. Everything is run through the lens of, is it biblical? And there's really no questioning, like, this is how we live our lives. So as Tatum as the wife, and then Adrian, the daughter, that's how she's been raised. And due to her parents' very religious stance, particularly her father's, she and then due to an event that at some point ends up happening in Adrian's life, she becomes estranged from her parents. And her mom, at a certain point, wants to have a relationship with her daughter again. And so she starts visiting her on Wednesday nights at the bar where Adrian, the daughter, bartends. Secretly. So her husband doesn't find out. So we get a lot of information about just how things are run in their home, and what would be appropriate and inappropriate, and why it is that Tatum feels like she needs to lie, construct this whole thing, trying to have a relationship with her daughter, and that's going to be crucial to the telling of the story, and that's basically like the setup for the story, is that we have this pretty dysfunctional family in the guise of like, oh, it's the pastor's family, and he wants things to look like they're supposed to look. Meanwhile, he has no relationship with his 20-something-year-old daughter, and his wife has to lie to him in order to have a relationship with his daughter. But anyway, the story is, I'm getting like ahead and beside myself at the same time. The daughter ends up going missing. So the wife, the mother, Tatum, has just started establishing this weekly relationship with her daughter, and she's really excited about it, and even have plans, like they're going to get like mani-pedis together, and she's really excited for that bonding experience with her daughter. And then she shows up missing. Is that it's a funny way of putting it. She doesn't show up to work. No call, no shows. She's not answering the mom's phone calls or texts or from anybody else. And this really seems out of character. And, she's never no call, no showed before. And mom's got that feeling that something is wrong. We also have a history. We've been given a medical history of Tatum, where she's had something wrong with her. This like vertigo type thing keeps happening to her, and there's no explanation for it. She's seen doctor after doctor, had all these tests, and had all these things ruled out. Yet she's still suffering with this vertigo and similar and related symptoms. And basically her husband's like, well, you're fine. Like, you've been checked out, you're fine. So we already kind of have the foundation has been set that the husband is going to gaslight Tatum. And so now when she's presenting this scenario of our, flaky, secular daughter, has turned up missing. Is he going to believe her? Is this just another opportunity for him to gaslight? And how will, mother's drive to protect her baby, her mama bear instinct, how is that going to overcome the scenario of her life? And oh yeah, there's the complication of, there's this fiance that she didn't know anything about. If they were actually getting as close as they were getting, as she thought they were getting, or were they actually getting as close as she thought they were, but her daughter didn't tell her about this fiance? Or is there something up with the fiance? The things aren't adding up, right? And Tatum has a lot of questions. Meanwhile, Adrian is still missing, and that's the most important thing, is finding Adrian safe. I'm home now, and I have the rest of the day open, so I have myself just situated out in the backyard. I'm going to just embrace this blue sky. Thank you. Just soak in the sun. Still kind of chilly. I have a blanket over my lap. I had to put a towel on the chair that I'm on because it's been outside and we've had a lot of just wet, icky weather and everything. But I'm going to get to reading In a Quiet Town. Book club is on Monday and it's Thursday and we're going on a trip this weekend. So I'm on page 60 something. Oh, 97. That's one thing about this book is it just seems like I fly through it. Like yesterday I think I read like 40 pages yesterday and I felt like I'd only read like 12. So to me that's the mark of like a good entertaining book when the time is kind of passing without you realizing it. I will say, like, there's nothing that's blowing me away about this book, but I'm enjoying myself and I'm intrigued. I added a scarf, maybe the beanie and the scarf. I'm not sure since I first updated it. It is sunny and blue and beautiful outside, but it is windy and it's definitely still chilly. Blanket, scarf, beanie, but it feels good to be outside still. But there's just the book just hit upon this really like important truth. So this is the mom. This is the daughter who's missing. It's her account because we're moving in between characters' perspectives and also past and present. So in the past, this is her perspective of talking to her mom when her mom first starts showing up at the bar to just like hang out with her and have a relationship with her. And so the mom is telling her, I'm just trying to find myself. It's kind of like, what are you doing here? Like, you don't hang out at bars kind of thing. She says, I'm trying to find myself. She goes, sounds silly at my age, huh? I'm almost 50 and I'm trying to find myself. I don't think it sounded silly at all. I think it sounded like the most honest thing my mom had ever said to me. And what are you learning? I asked. This time she took a long pull from her drink that I don't know a thing. And I think that is a common thing among particularly women. And I say women because I can only speak from the perspective of a woman, right? So maybe men have this too. But for women who at a young age become wives and mothers before like your frontal lobe is finished developing, right? Like you're not even a fully formed person. You're literally not even a fully formed person yet before you become something substantial to someone else. It becomes your identity becomes role-based rather than fully formed in who you are. And I think that's a really common thing with young wives, young mothers, and then kind of around 50 is kind of a perimenopausal age. It seems to be a common time for that to kind of shift. And for a woman, you know, as the kids are out of the house and things like that, that they actually start to question what they really want, who they really are, and all that. And I definitely experienced this after my husband died. We got married. I was 19 when we were married. I was a Marine Corps wife, and then I was, Sam's wife. I was the caregiver, and my relationship, my identity was very much wrapped up in my role as Marine wife, Sam's wife, caregiver. And then after that, I really had to figure out, like, who the hell is Erin aside from Sam? Because we'd been together since I was 15. So there was no Erin. Like there wasn't. I didn't know who I was. And I'm probably still figuring that out, but I think I've made, pretty good progress over the last going on 6 years now. So yeah, good book. I'm enjoying it. And I'm enjoying it. Feels much better. The sun feels nice and warm. Like I can feel the warmth of the sun on my cheek. It feels really nice, but then the wind comes in and just kind of cuts through it. So it's Friday now. You're propped up in like the track of my kitchen window. This is the dishwasher soap thingy and the water. So it is a couple days after a major event happened here in the States, and I have been very, very distracted by that. And I'm trying to be able to focus on other things and not just constantly be just rage scrolling through threads and whatever else. So right now, what I need to do, I've made good progress. I've made really good progress on In a Quiet Town. So transitioning away from that back to things that need to be done in daily life, and things that I would like to do, and you know, the things that I can do to control my own peace, I suppose. Need to clean the kitchen. I've started. I just need to get some stuff in the dishwasher, basically. Wipe down the countertops, and then I'm going to hopefully, if not finish In a Quiet Town, then at least make a good dent in it. It's like 3:15, so figure if maybe by 3:45 I should be able to start. So I should be able to get I'm hoping I can get a good solid hour reading. I think I have 90 to 100 pages left of In a Quiet Town, and then we're packing. I gotta pack for a fun little weekend trip. We're going to Fort Bragg, so which is on the Northern California coast. I'm in Northern California. So Northern California is a weird thing because it's where are the lines? So I'm in the Sacramento area. I'm in Sacramento County. That's Northern California. San Francisco, Northern California. Tahoe, Northern California, unless you're in Nevada. So this is further up the coast in the northern part of Northern California. And I've never been to Fort Bragg. So it's about 4 hours. So it's not as far as Humboldt, Eureka area. Not that far. But we got Christmas money, and we were specifically told not to pay bills, not to do anything responsible with this money. And so we got some concert tickets for the end of the month. Gary Clark Jr. and Marcus King, who were just fire. And then this weekend, it's an Airbnb, but it's a room inside of a mansion. So we're going to be staying there. We're going to go for a hike. We're going to leave really early so we can make it up at low tide to check out these tide pools. And that will be the beginning of about a 6-mile hike. And then we're just going to explore and have fun up there. And the plan for right now, just enjoy our time. Assuming we're going to love the mansion and our room and everything. We're going to get Chinese takeout, have that in the room, and just explore. We don't have the only plan is the hike and the tide pools, Chinese food in the mansion, and then whatever else we decide, however else we decide to spend our time. But I probably won't have a whole lot of reading time, so that's why I really want to try to get as much of this book read now before Benji gets home, because book club is Monday night. And I'm not working on Monday, so I will, whatever's not done on Monday, I will be able to finish it if I don't finish it now. But anyway, yeah, just trying to do things that involve me using my phone in a way that I can't scroll. So if I'm listening to something, or even watching YouTube, typically even if I'm watching YouTube, I'm doing other things. So especially if I'm doing it on my phone. So I'm going to be cleaning the kitchen here. I'm going to have YouTube on, but I'm going to put my phone out of reach so that I'm not tempted to just doom scroll. Because yeah, you know. Anyway, so hopefully, basically, what you'll be seeing next, hopefully, will be, in whichever order, my final thoughts on the book. And, and a major, when I was reading it this morning, the little bit that I read this morning, a major, thing happened, a plot twist, okay, here we go, let's go. Okay, so yeah, I'm excited about where we are in the book, and then some highlights from Fort Bragg. So final thoughts on In a Quiet Town by Amber Garza. It was pretty good. It was entertaining. I think there's always kind of an extra piece of interest when a book takes place in an area that you're familiar with, whether it's someplace that near where you live or just a place that you visited. And so that was definitely the case with this book, because I was in the general area. I've been there before, and I was in the general area while I was reading the book. So that added to it. And, it was funny because we actually had, Amber, the author, was at our book club event, our book club meeting. And I was saying, I mentioned that, and I said, so I had a really good picture of, the setting, and,
I could really picture the scenes in my mind. And I said, I don't know whether to give credit to you or not, but since you're here, I'll go ahead and give you that credit. I don't know, because I wasn't really thinking about it until after the fact, but I don't know that it was her that really set that stage for me as far as the environment goes. Or if it's just because I have such a sense in my mind of what that area looks like. If I compare that to, totally unfair comparison here, the book I read previous to this book was Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. So not a fair comparison to compare Amber Garza to Barbara Kingsolver, but in Demon Copperhead, I would definitely attribute this to Barbara Kingsolver's writing, in that I had a very clear idea in my mind of the scenery. Like, I can see, you know, we have a scene, I can very clearly picture that in my mind, what it looks like, having no visual reference. I mean, I have been to the South, but I've never been to, what is it? Is it Lee County? Whatever the county is in Virginia. Anyhow, back to In a Quiet Town. And the experience of having the author at the book club too. So in general, I'm like all over the place. Oh my gosh. Okay. In general, I thought it was a good time. I wasn't like craving the book when I wasn't reading it. It wasn't thrilling me in that aspect where like I have to know what's going to happen, but I was definitely interested. I was never like, oh, I have to finish this for book club. Not at all. I really had a really good time reading the book and finding out the mystery. There is a twist in there in the formatting of the story. I don't want to get too deep into that because I don't want to give anything away, but what was neat is the way that she structured the story played a part in the twist. So that was kind of a cool element, I guess, to add to the enjoyment of the book. And there was one element, and we asked her about this a little bit. There was so the two female main characters, the mother and the daughter. So the mother, Tatum, she's out looking for the daughter. And they've just reestablished this relationship, and we get a really good sense of who Tatum is as a person. She's very much just kind of like repressed Christian housewife, pastor's wife, and very much under the microscope. Everything is kind of, needs to be literally like by the book, right? Like the book. She is under the authority of her husband. Her husband is under the authority of, the Bible and God and all of that. And so she's pretty a passive person. And we find out through in her backstory that she had some sort of ailment that was related to, there was like vertigo, and it was like they didn't know where it was coming from, and she was being gaslit. And so you see that part of that relationship with her husband as well, of her suffering through something legitimate, but they can't find anything. And, also just kind of the commentary too on just like women being gaslit in medicine as well. And so that was part of the creation of her character, and establishing who she is and her role in her marriage in particular. And then that part just kind of goes away, and once we have the mystery and like the hunt to find her daughter, that part's not really, doesn't go anywhere anymore. So it's just kind of like this backstory. So it did have me wondering, like, are we gonna find out what she had? Because they didn't find out what she had. She was like mostly better, but it still kind of came up every now and then. So one of the other gals in book club asked Amber about it, and she said, well, basically, she goes, that element was taken from my life, and I had something similar happen, and I still don't know what it is. I'm mostly fine, but it still does crop up here and there, and we don't know what it's from. So it was a little bit one of those, like, if you're not going to have a resolution or at least refer to it not being resolved later, should it be in there? But it's also such a small detail. Like, I did feel like the whole like gaslit element of that was pertinent to the story, and Tatum as a character and Tatum as a wife, and like and her husband, like that. I feel like it was important for establishing that. And it could just be left at that. And I think that's kind of what she intended for it to do, was more of just a setup of the character, not this is this other health storyline. That was the one kind of like, little niggling thing that that kind of had me wondering. But also it was really interesting to have the author's perspective too in writing a book. And she's written many books. She has 4 published. Oh gosh, what was the name? So the one that's actually set in Folsom, which is, we thought this one was, but the one that's actually set here, I'll put it on the screen. Sorry, I don't remember. It's 2 women who have the same name, and this happened to her in real life. There are 2 Amber Garzas in Folsom, California. And like they both went to the same gym, and at one point they even went to the same doctor, which that was a HIPAA violation that she even found that out. But that was the idea for that story. Where was I going with this? Because that's not the book we're talking about. Dang. Okay. I don't remember why. I brought that part up. But it was just because that's that was her most popular book. It was her first book when she got a book deal, and it was she sold, I think, like 70,000 copies of that one. There have been a couple of like movie and TV series like potential, like David E. Kelley was, I think it was for the series. David E. Kelley was going to be the producer, and it ended up, not going through. She has something else in the works right now that could potentially be. And then so we were kind of getting insight into the publishing world and being an author, and so like her next book didn't sell as well, and so she had this like drop off, and then the next book didn't do well, and she got dropped by her publisher. So finding out all of that really information was really cool, like just the insider information, and it definitely did change the way that we talked about the book, for sure, because it was like on the highlight was we were getting really cool insight that we wouldn't have ever otherwise had on that book, writing of books in general, the writing process and then publishing. So that part was awesome, but also meant that we weren't really critical in a way that we would normally have been, felt free to be critical of the book. So I don't have everybody's like really true, honest thoughts on it. And yeah, I think really it was the health thing that kind of was established and then never went anywhere. That was the only thing kind of like negative or question that really came up. But in general, I think I rated it like a 3.25 on Goodreads. It was a good kind of palate cleanser book. It was a good time. It was an interesting concept. Her concept for like the twist was cool. So now that was the Russian River Valley, made up town, but conglomeration of some Russian River Valley towns, which is like coastal north of San Francisco. Yeah. Coastal California, very, very close to this is near Bodega Bay. Think of the birds. That's kind of where we're set. So then last weekend when I was finishing the book, we were further up north, further up the coast, in Fort Bragg. And, that is where I will leave you. Here is just some highlights from our trip to Fort Bragg. Thank you for watching. Remember, every day is a great day for a great day, no matter what.